Formation defenses include consideration, promissory estoppel, statute of frauds, unconscionability, mistake, capacity, quasi-contract, implied and fact contracts, duress, undue influence, misrepresentation, and non-disclosure. Consideration. To be legally enforceable, a contract must contain a bargain for exchange of legal detriment sufficient to hold the bargain enforceable. Promissory estoppel. A contract or modification that cannot be enforced by law may be enforced in equity under the principles of promissory estoppel if there has been a promise that has been reasonably and foreseeably relied upon. To not enforce the promise would be unjust. Statute of frauds. Under the UCC, a contract for the sale of goods worth $500 or more must be in writing, signed by the party against whom the contract is being enforced, but between merchants a sales confirmation by one listing the quantity will bind both parties if the receiving party does not reject within 10 days. Unconscionability. One party to the contract, either partially or completely, took advantage of its superior bargaining power to overwhelmingly favor the interests of that party. Mistake. There must be a term with two distinct reasonable meaning, and each party has a different meaning in mind, not knowing that the other had a different meaning in mind. Capacity. A person which lacks capacity has the right to disaffirm. However, when it comes to necessaries, an agreement to pay is enforceable through quasi-contract liability. Quasi-contract. Although there is no express agreement, it is imposed by law in order to prevent unjust enrichment, requiring the acting party to be paid reasonable compensation. How the parties deal with each other. You talk about implied and fact contracts, duress, undue influence, misrepresentation, and non-disclosure. Implied and fact contracts, where there was no express agreement between the parties. When one party bestows benefits of another party reasonably expecting to be compensated, and the other party knowingly accepts those benefits knowing that the other party expects to be compensated, the party that received the benefits will owe a reasonable contract amount to the other party. Duress. Only good faith agreements are enforceable. Any unlawful threat or coercion used to induce another to act in a matter they otherwise would not. Undue influence, unfair persuasion, and domination. Misrepresentation. No requirement that the misrepresentation was malicious or intentional, just that the misrepresentation is material. Non-disclosure. Withholds information that would be difficult for the other party to discover on their own.